And what's going on over there is an internal problem that the Brits need to solve by themselves. And it sounds like, just from some of the things that you, some of the tapes and the outtakes that you put on tonight, that the Brits are actually internally, at least some of them, they're fighting for what's right, just like we are over here, just like the conservatives are over here. And although I think Dr. Savage has a right, if there's a mechanism to, if there's an international mechanism to sue for, defamation or anything like that, I don't have a problem with that. But I think this time Congress and even the mainstream media got it right, and they recognize that this is a Britain problem. It's not a United States problem.
Well, Dave, and I agree to the extent that I know what you're saying, and I don't know that Dr. Savage advocates guns a-blazing, trade sanctions, and we somehow try to punitively, legally act on Great Britain. But I think the simple action of saying something, it is the total inaction. It's the limp-wristed silence, the deafening crickets out there. You can hear a pin drop, and no one in our industry of talk radio, no one of any consequence in the mainstream media, and certainly no one in politics, where it really counts, in the State Department, leadership, diplomacy with other nations. No one is speaking out in a clear way to say, we don't agree with this. We don't believe talk show hosts deserve to be lumped in with terrorists in national bans. It is not something we do here in the United States. We don't advocate it happen anywhere else. But this is classic stuff, Dave. This is part and parcel of what we've seen out of this administration on even more serious matters. Murder. People are being killed in Iran as we speak for speaking out against what they believe to be, and I believe are, fraudulent elections in the re-election of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. This government, this president, stood idly by and said nothing, said he didn't want to meddle. Well, great nations like ours, the shining city, if you will, our job is to set the standard and speak out. Not necessarily physically engage or involve ourselves, but to speak up, speak out, and lead when wrongdoing is spotted. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why I brought Honduras up today. We're perfectly content, Dave, to speak up and demand that Honduras and their constitution, which has been violated, the citizens, the Supreme Court, the Congress of Honduras threw a dictator out of office because they saw the threat he posed. What does our government do there? They most certainly meddle and inject themselves. Insist he be reinstated, this Zelaya. So if they can do that for a dictator, surely, Dave, they can do it for Michael Savage. You see what I'm saying?
But they don't need to be doing it for either one. That's the bottom line. They're wrong in Honduras, and if the government did it for... First place, I don't think anybody's really surprised at Britain, because Britain's been going down that road for the last 5-10 years.
But Dave, you know the greatness of this country has never been one to sit on the sidelines, plug our ears, and go la 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 like we're a child and we're not paying attention to anyone but ourselves. That's not our role. It's not what we do. It's not who we are as a free, God-fearing, freedom-loving people. We don't do that. We set the standard. We speak out when we see wrongdoing. I don't mean engage, but send a message. We're certainly within our rights to sound off and say, this is wrong, this is wrong-headed, we don't support it, we don't stand with it. Again, I don't mean we, launch naval cruisers. I just mean we set the standard and example. I'm glad you called, Dave. Thank you. Got your point. Let's go to Neil in Orlando next on the Savage Nation. Hello.
Chris, it's good to hear you on the air tonight.
Thank you.
I had an idea. I used to have family that were in the news, and this is something that Michael may want to run by his legal team, where he traveled to England, experienced being rejected, since he knows that they're just going to tell him to go home, but travel with a news team that has cameras and let them film it while he's going through that, and then let him try to make it by putting it on the air after the fact into a national incident, okay, with statements that really are going to shake up the rest of the world. Because the rest of the world, okay, doesn't necessarily hear him on the air, but that might get their attention and get other people to support him beyond the United States. Because, Michael can't expect, Obama to back him up when he beats him up 5 days a week. That's really just common sense. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I suppose. I know what you're saying in spirit. Sore losers and all that stuff and hurt feelings, but you would think and hope, I guess, I would hope, I can only put myself in the position that I'm sure there's an old adage here, and I'm a little tired and can't think of it at the moment. I know there is, that I may not like what you have to say, but I'll die to defend your right to say it. You know what I'm saying? And that should be the Obama standard. That should be every president of the United States, whose critics have the right to speak out and be critical just as their supporters do, and that we all are united, at least in the idea that freedom of speech is not terrorist behavior, and it's being treated as such, Neil. But I'm grateful for your phone call. I know your point, and I appreciate it. I take it. I know Michael Savage does, too. Dr. Savage out tonight, his legal defense fund, if you'd like to contribute, at michaelsavage.com. The latest on this story, the British ban of Dr. Michael Savage, is online for you to read, how it's unfolded over these many months since May 5th, and Jackie Smith declared him an enemy of the UK. All can be read at michaelsavage.com. 800-449-8255. Your phone calls, your advice, as Dr. Savage considers his next course of action in this fight. Coming up on the Savage Nation.
Savage.